Everyone please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Ashley, can I have roll call, please?
Jurdy. Here. Fisher.
Here.
Briggs.
Here.
Cavalier. Clot.
Here.
Menard.
Here.
Hidma.
Okay, this brings us to the regular agenda. Ashley, please.
Yes, Your Honor. 3.01 is a resolution regarding the appointment of Wendy Alt to fill the vacant Ward 5 council member seat.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
I'll second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's,
Motion.
we have to do roll call since this is a special council meeting. It's
Oh,
not a
that's
ways and
right.
means.
Sorry.
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
So then that's the only item on the agenda.
And you do the swearing in.
That will be at the regular council meeting at 5:30.
Okay, great.
So we're good for now?
Do you need to hit your adjourn?
Yep, we are adjourned.
Okay.
Recite the pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have oath of office for Ward 5 council member Wendy Alt.
Raise your right hand, and then I state your first and last name.
I, Wendy Alt,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
that
that I will support the city charter
I will support the city charter
and the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of office
the duties of office
of Council Member Ward 5
of Council Member Ward 5
in the city of Crookston,
in the city of
the
Crookston,
state of Minnesota,
the state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment
to the best of my judgment
and ability.
Thanks.
Take a seat.
Okay, Ashley, can I have roll call, please?
Jurdy. Here. Fisher.
Here.
Briggs.
Here.
Cavalier.
Here.
Alt. Here. Lot.
Here.
Menard.
Here.
Hibma. Here.
Okay, it's time for the open forum. If anyone would like to address council on any issue not already on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please. Hearing none from the chambers. Anybody on the phone bridge?
No one on the phone, bridge, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, no presentations. This brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add anything to tonight's agenda? Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make that motion.
We got Tim and Clayton. Discussion. Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt. Aye. Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma. Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. Got a motion by Don.
Second.
Thank you. Second by Henry. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt. Aye. Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma. Aye.
Okay, motion carries. No public hearings. This brings us to the regular agenda. Ashley, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Item 9.01 is the second and final reading of amending the alcohol ordinance for the city of Crookston.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance?
I
got Don and Clayton. Discussion between Jeff and Tanner, a little brief on this.
Yep, I'll give a quick brief here, just noting the changes since last time we were here. The first change is in section 6. That's the provision that indicated that we needed 10 days notice prior to the occurrence of the event for raffles, silent auctions, and fundraising. We've changed that to as soon as reasonably possible prior to the occurrence of the event. We did add a license for 3.2% malt liquor off sale. That's because Walmart is currently selling that, and that was not previously in the previous versions, and Ashley brought that to my attention, so we added that as well. Then on the same issue, the restrictions on the issuance of licenses, we specifically added the 3.2% off sale is not subject to the restriction that an off-sale license holder must also be a holder of the on-sale license, as was requested by some of the bar owners in town. And then section 27 deals with repealing the currently existing ordinance. That just tells us that chapter 111 is repealed and replaced by this ordinance upon the effective date, except as it relates to the existing licenses, which are the ones that are currently in effect under section 26. Lastly, what should have been included in your packet was a summary. The purpose of the summary is to reduce the costs of publishing this ordinance. Without that summary being approved, the entire ordinance needs to be published. If the summary is approved, we can just publish the summary. It is still several pages, but at least it's not a large number of pages. And that is from a template I got from League of Minnesota Cities. So are there any questions on the alcohol ordinance?
With that being said, then the council is aware that you would be voting for the ordinance, second and final reading, and the summary changes. That was what you've been voting on, so.
And then also that'll give Ashley the go-ahead to publish it, because then it'll become effective after publication.
Okay, thank you, Tanner.
Thank you, Tanner.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Alt. Aye. Clot,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma. Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on.
Item 9.02 is a resolution regarding the city of Crookston's fee schedule for the 2024 year.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Henry. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton. Discussion? Anything to add, Jeff?
Your Honor, Mayor, members of the council, this resolution simply updates our fee schedule. The changes involve those required because of the new alcohol ordinance, and also the fire chief had requested some adjustments to their inspection fees. I met with the fire chief and we based the fees that you'll see highlighted on a combination of comparables to local cities as well as a recoupment of cost with the user fee mentality that the users of the service should follow. The maximum it increases the maximum from $700 for the largest units up to $1,500. And that's based on 2 firefighters spending 10 to 12 hours on site doing the inspection at our 60, as an example, our 60 unit apartment complex, plus the affiliated paperwork that they have to do at the office afterwards. So it does have sound rationale on the basis. And if the chief would like to add anything else, or if you have any other questions, we are available.
Yes, I got a question. This rental license fee, is this per year, or is it 3 years or 2 years?
It's on an annual basis.
Annual basis?
There was, a couple of years ago, we did it over a 2-year span. At that point in time, I had different goals in mind that we did not attain. I was looking for some outside help and with our IT department and stuff. Those goals we weren't able to make them. So that's why we had went 2 years prior to this. So we're going back to an annual fee scheduling.
And Shane, beforehand, this was at $35 per unit, right? Correct?
Yep.
Annually. And then my understanding too is that in the past, that fee has been somewhat arbitrary, but you've actually taken kind of a look at the cost analysis of what it would cost your department to actually go through the process of inspecting the units and then to write up the appropriate paperwork or the violations, and then also at the end give them whatever the renewed license is. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
We went through and I had staff study and try to figure out how much time they actually spent on a unit. And so we were able to take that plus what we figured is an hourly wage for a firefighter to operate and do this for the program. And that's how we were able to come up with a breakdown to get our rates to where they are now.
And my understanding really is that this now is a better representation of that actual like cost is not, or the cost that would have been incurred is not necessarily to provide additional revenue. You're trying to make sure that we're maintaining a fair cost to the rental owners, is that correct?
Yes, and I would say that with the rental inspections, the property owners are the ones that we're working with for this. Instead of having it spread out essentially across the entire population, we're trying to get this so the rental owners, the property owners are the ones that are footing this to help cover the cost of the operation of this program.
And Mayor and Council, if I, Councilmember Jerdy, if I can add, as an example, the single-family home at $100, when the chief and I went over the numbers, that actually does not cover the full cost. However, and at the top end, it closely approximates our cost. The logic there being that a single-family home, most of our rentals are going to involve a more detailed inspection, stairs, checking smoke detectors, making sure they're working. Whereas in an apartment complex, all of the units are very similar. They have a central fire alarm system, and it's less labor intensive for them to work. So on a per unit basis, it doesn't make sense to say $100 per unit for the larger units.
Yeah, no, and I completely understand that. I just feel that we've had constituents in the past feel that the cost was very arbitrary and didn't have any like thought process behind like, is this actually like covering the cost? Is it more, is it less? So I was just wanting to make sure that that was part of the conversation, so.
And we primarily focused on, we broke it down, and 63% of our rentals that we inspect that are part of this program are single-family rentals. So that's a huge chunk of what we have. So that's what we use as the basis for our decision-making.
Wonderful. Thank
So
you.
are we gonna be looking at the fee schedule later on during the budget process, or?
The overall fee schedule, yes,
Yes.
sir, for one comprehensive adjustment for the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There was a whole bunch of other stuff that was kind of highlighted on there, but there was no immediate changes. I know right away it said, right off the top, it was the engine type 1 and the water tender stuff. That stuff was unchanged. I think Ashley just did that to make sure I didn't get forgotten. So,
Sure.
thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion.
Yeah, can I talk a little bit about the mobile food units? I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that Crookston is just not getting individuals that are interested in being here because of the cost of the per day or the mobile food units. And I'm just wondering if that's something that we need to reconsider.
I mean, when we looked at this before, compared to like other cities, I mean, I think we're pretty much on the low end. I mean, what are you thinking? Is you thinking it should be free, or?
No, I think maybe like cutting that cost in half or having like a $50 thing, but then you have like 7 days within a 365, something like that. I think that we want to encourage, these different vendors to come to town, and it seems like it's been pretty cost prohibitive from what I've heard from the community about those, and a lot of them won't come because of the cost. So I just feel that it might be something that we
I
need
don't know if
to.
it's that. I mean, I think if I remember talking, when we talked through this before, Detroit Lakes was like, it was like crazy number compared
Yeah,
to
but
what we
we're not
have, and they
Detroit
don't seem to
Lakes.
have any issues getting food trucks there.
But we're not Detroit Lakes.
I will say that I've talked to a lot of food vendors that are not here, that I have been to other places. I really like food trucks. And a lot of them say that it is very hard to work with Crookston, and they've just made the decision to no longer even attempt to come here.
So
Yeah,
I
I
can
would say the
speak
same thing.
So I can speak on that as well. I know when we first implemented our application, that was the biggest woe that I have heard, is our application is very cumbersome when it comes to that. But I have made it my mission to allow the food trucks to know that it's an annual basis. So they fill out the application once throughout the year, and I help them through step by step. And I am willing to help them, understand like what are the process of what they need, the liability insurance. And then once they fill that application out, Then all they have to do is email me, call me, and let me know when they're gonna be back in Crookston for that additional $50 a day fee. So,
I think, yeah, I appreciate that, Ashley. I think the other thing that we need to recognize is that we aren't Detroit Lakes, we're not a lakes country where you're
But we
getting.
have a responsibility to our restaurants that are already in town.
I understand and I agree with that,
taxes.
Delane.
And they're the folks that kind of brought this to our attention before. They're like, you know, the food vendors were like, when we had a restaurant right downtown here, were set up in very close proximity. And at that time, they were paying a lot at all, so we.
Yeah,
we
so I
changed
think
it.
my concern here is that you're comparing the fee that Detroit Lakes is comparison to us, when they're not gonna get the traffic that we get. So I'm just saying, like, I think it's a hard sell for me that we're comparing it's kind of apples to oranges when you're really thinking about it. What they're gonna be making here in a day is definitely significantly different than what they're making at Detroit Lakes. And so I think that needs to be considered as well. And I think we wanna be a welcoming space to any type of economic development, right? And so I think it's just something that I'd like us to reconsider.
I also wanted to point out, when Corky and I first originally put this forward, we talked about my time that I send over to the police department to go over with the background check. And that is why we came up with that number. My hourly wage, their hourly wage, and so to make it suffice to be able to be consistent and balanced so that we can justify to the citizens that their time that we utilize on these events are that case.
And I completely get that, but if you're saying also that they only have to fill that out once and only need to submit that stuff once, then for every other time that they do it, they're still paying the same amount. So that's where I'm coming from and saying, like, it makes sense, maybe in an initial cost, but maybe everything once they've submitted and done that can be a lesser rate. Maybe it's 50 for the first, and then maybe it's 10 or 20 for every additional day. Something that would then really reflect that, right?
I mean, I think
My question
I
is,
thought we went through this pretty thoroughly before. And I don't think the cost that we set up was very prohibitive compared to other towns within. I mean, I hate to have to do this again, but I mean, is there something we can do for maybe the next meeting to probably bring up some
Yeah, I can-
closer than Detroit Lakes? Granted, we're not Detroit Lakes, but we are close to East Grand Forks and close to Thief River and close to Boston. What?
People from East Grand Forks are not driving here for a food truck.
Well, I think he's saying understanding their costs.
They go to a food truck.
I think it's just
No,
comparative costs for what they're paying
I get
fees.
that, but what I'm saying is, like, if you think about it, my question is we don't have any restaurants downtown for them to compete with anymore. Are the other businesses, are they showing that they lost a significant profit on the day that a food truck was here?
So,
If that is, and that's a concern.
Well, the same argument could be said, I mean, is there any data saying that we've lost a lot of food trucks not coming here because of our fees?
I mean,
or-
yeah,
Yes,
there
as somebody,
is.
as
I mean,
somebody
it's
that,
just people saying to you. I mean, it's not like any
But I-
actual stats. This
I
is.
think you-
This is
It is
just-
actually, Henry, because we have people who are doing this and pursuing this for different events downtown who can tell us who's not coming and why. So we
But
do
do they
actually.
have the stats?
Yes, they do. They can tell you exactly who it is and how many people.
So actually,
I think it's something that we
had
should
somebody apply
readdress.
and they say, oh, no, I can't, the fee is too high, or,
I have had more people tell me that the concern is the application process, and again,
then
it's
let's-
cumbersome.
so then let's talk about that. So instead of maybe talking about the fees, let's talk about the application process, and if that's cumbersome, is there something we can do online that help them with that process? And
I also wanted to let the council know and the citizens know, every time that we have an event and they come forth to the council, they're not paying a fee. These vendors are not paying a fee. So for the Tunes on Tuesday, they apply for us because that is in the provision of the mobile food unit. They're allowed, as long as they come to council and ask for a special event permit, they can have these vendors come for free, as long as the council is aware. So those shouldn't be an issue. They should be able to. The biggest concern when I talk to these vendors are the application. And again, like I said, I'm willing to go step by step and I've let them know. And a lot of them don't like our background check. They don't like to have to give a social security number. But again, that was the request.
Is that a separate cost?
Or is that part of the
So that's
fee?
the implementation of the fee of the $50. And so that's why as the council's request, when you guys implemented this, you guys wanted the safety of the citizens and do these background checks. And so that is what we have abided by. And so.
Well, and Ashley, I think that's just things that we needed to know, and I don't know if that was common knowledge for council either, and I think maybe we need to reassess that and maybe look at what's best practices and what other, like, local cities doing for us to maybe try to streamline that process. And if the barrier is there, I've heard cost, and I'll go back to the individuals who've shared that with me, but I'd like us to take a little bit of a deeper look at this and see what has been that prohibitive piece for us, so we can try to encourage more individuals to come and do that for us.
There's, I pulled this up. This came from Minnesota Cities. This is a town of Janesville, and it's population about 2,500. And their application process, it's like a 4-page document asking for vendors and vehicle information, proof of applicable Minnesota Department of Health and county health certificates, and proof of insurance.
So that's another thing I wanted to bring up.
And then, hold on here, their police chief conducts the background check. The background check fee is $15 and it lasts for a year. In addition to the background check, the cost of the license is $25 a day, or the vendor can pay an annual fee of $300 a year if they plan to regular conduct their business in the city. So I don't really think we're out of line here at all.
Well, I mean, this city that you're referring to, where are they located?
I'm not sure, it
I
just,
mean, I think that also is
I can
relative.
actually speak to, Janesville is down near where my old stomping grounds near Madison Lake. It's about 30 miles outside of
very
Maine.
touristy?
It's about 30 miles outside of Mankato. They've got quite a few events per year, hence the $300 a year. They do have regular return.
And that makes sense, like, and I think that's where we need to also be concerned.
they don't charge, for their town celebrations, their carnival and midway entertainment.
So Ashley, is
They
there,
offer special events. They have a city-owned golf course and it's been well received. Some, nonprofit or churches take advantage of they use them during their annual celebrations, so.
so I don't know if this is possible, but is there, I mean, can you look back through maybe a few years before we changed our ordinance into lately and see how, if dramatically we've changed if we went down in numbers on food vendors in the city?
Yeah, I have that available right now. Yeah,
So what is it?
I can tell you. I'll just pull it up. Just to also let you guys know as well, since we are close to the border of North Dakota, there also another thing that I had noticed as well for the food trucks is we have a different requirement for the state of Minnesota than North Dakota does as well. So that has been another, somebody will come in and do an application last minute. They have an event on a Thursday, they come in on Tuesday and they don't know that they need to have that
health
inspected.
certificate.
Yeah, and so that's been a lot of the issue too as well that I've been hearing. And again, it would be, might be something that we can utilize now that we have Keenan here. We can put out another little flyer about, the requirements that are needed for the city of
The
Crookston.
requirements, is that easily searchable on our website?
Not currently, but it's
That might
something
be
that
a
we're
good
working
thing
on,
to consider
so.
as well. Okay.
So I can just pull this up real quick.
Any further discussion on the fee schedule?
I just wanted to also let council know as well, there was, for the park department, additional changes to be updated for the campground as well, if you noticed that. And then also,
Can you share with us what it was beforehand?
Jake, if you wanted to, again, I believe it was like $15 for $20 for a spot, but
Yeah, for each spot we had previously was $20, and the tent spot was $15. Now that we have the new campground, as if you go down there, some sites are like single sites, so I thought we'd charge $35 for that. And then some sites have just one electric site, one hookup, things like that, but they're round, they're like more of a, they're a bigger site. Yep, so 40 for those, so.
Okay, so is the amenities different between the sites 1 through 9 and sites 10 through 14?
As far as electric and water, and
Yeah.
nope, it's just the actual size.
Larger
Yep,
size?
yep.
I will say that is pretty normal, somebody that.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious.
And then we'll move tenting to $20 a
From
site.
15?
Yep,
All right.
so, thank you.
Yep. And then I just had one question just for clarification. I was looking over the club on sale membership. Can you tell me what that's like actually in relation to?
So are you talking
No, no,
about the state? So is that the state requirement according to
Yeah.
the state?
Yeah.
So prior to us, we always just had a standard, our club license was normally, the only club that we had to apply was between 200 and 500 club member guests. And the state had, when I went down for a training, they said that it's best practice to be able to just show, like, if a new club wanted to start and apply for a liquor license, that they know that this is set by the state of Minnesota. We don't set that fee, and so that's why I put that in there,
And
so.
so when we say member, like a club membership, we're talking like the Eagles?
Eagles,
something
yeah, like
that,
American
VFW?
Legion, yeah,
Okay.
so that's what it would be. So I just wanted to make sure that everything was accountable when we go forward with that.
Perfect, thank you.
So currently, right now, I can tell you, so in 2022, again, I don't have the prior ones before 2020. 2022, we had 16 vendors that came in. 2023, we had 18 vendors that came in, and currently we're at 11 vendors right now for 2024.
And we still haven't hit our,
We haven't hit our ox cart date where we get majority of our vendors, so that's where
when
we're
was
at.
the, when did we work on this, what year?
We started it in 2021, I believe, is that when we implemented it?
No, I felt like we were.
2022,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
2022,
it wasn't
sorry.
that long ago.
You don't have any data currently on before we changed it to numbers?
We were the wild, wild west prior to that,
Yeah, I think we were
unfortunately.
trying to solidify what we were doing.
So, we didn't keep track. It was a one for all. They would come in, I would have 6, 7 mobile food units in the city of Crookston, and I would have no idea who they were.
So maybe that's the issue, the people that were outlaw vendors per se, that don't wanna fill out the application.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, though.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of them
I'm
that
just
are good vendors that I've even worked with on a lot of times that are used to this in other cities, and the comment has been, it's too hard to work with us.
Yep.
I'm not saying price, I'm not
Like
saying
I
what it
said,
is.
I just wonder if it's the application
So,
process maybe
Morgan,
again.
Do they share Too Hard to Work With Us? Do they give any specifics on what, is there something we can tweak to make it easier for them?
I think some of the content is, it's been hard to get contact with people, that the process is really long, that there's just a lot that goes into it that they don't have to do other places, that it's just so much more work to get a permit or license here when they don't have to do that same extensive stuff everywhere else, that it's just easier to go somewhere else and they know they'll get the same amount of sales.
So they don't have to do the Department of Health or County Health?
I think isn't that like
That's
just
a
a
state-
law?
Yeah, that's
requirement, so
State
they
here,
can't-
but are they
That's what I
talking,
mean, if nobody knows where they're at, then who's checking?
so are they talking it's easier across the river?
No, I mean, I will say a lot of these that actually, there's more food trucks, at least that I know that I work with, that I talk to, that are on the Minnesota side than the North Dakota side. So I would say a majority of them are on the Minnesota side that are following that. They're just saying, I don't know if it's just the communication or working here or what it is. It's just, we have the reputation of being really hard to work with.
I mean, if there's something we could do with the application online where they could fill it out and hit, I mean, I know our city's so far behind on technology, it hurts me. But is there something we can do so they can fill out an application online, hit send, and it's done deal?
We could definitely look into it. Again, the process, I wouldn't wanna eliminate something, but if that is the request of the council, I can definitely
I
look
mean,
into
it's
it.
something we should look into, I think, because if, I mean, maybe that's the issue. Maybe the process of trying to get a hold of somebody, then get an application sent out to them, and then,
Staff can look into it, report back
Right.
at the next,
Okay,
at the
thank
next
you.
meeting and try to streamline that process.
Hi, Michelle Christopherson, 723 Sunset. I work for the University of Minnesota Crookston campus, and the food truck situation, I think, needs to be seriously evaluated, not just the cost, not just the application, but communication to anyone that is interested or has been here in the past. I believe that the bad taste in our vendors' mouths for those that have been here and are choosing not to come back is a variety of reasons and a culmination of everything that has already been lifted up here this evening. The process itself is very difficult to find. Where do I start? And as a partial event planner on the Crookston campus, it would be nice just to have a step-by-step, blow-by-blow, where do I start and how does it end? And I think that if that is something that could be reevaluated and appropriately communicated, it would be a lovely situation for many people. I do believe then we would be a more welcoming community, not just for those that return, but perhaps those that were here and chose not to come back. Communication, and I know Keenan is doing a really great job of trying to get the word out to make us a more welcoming and more informed community, but we cannot share that information loud and proud enough.
Thank you. Can I also get clarification on the culinary class? B?
So that is the one that we added that is new to me, and it's gonna be one of those ones that we learned together, because that was part of the conversation that Tanner had explained. A lot of these ones are gonna be new to me and how it's gonna be able to roll out. It's gonna
And,
be
but the thought process
step-by-step.
behind the $100?
So I referenced a lot of the other cities around the area. Again, the hardest thing was trying to find the data for us is to find data that has a smaller city that has this implemented. There's not a lot of cities that I could reference that have put forth these new changes. So a lot of them were the Egan area, and again, I believe, and I would have to look at the ordinance a little bit more, I think it's over a time span of this culinary, and it's a location to the property. Again, that, and we knew that this is gonna be something that we're gonna have to address once we know more people, if somebody's gonna be applying for it, and we can address it at that time. Unfortunately, like I said, from what I had to work with other small cities, like surrounding cities with this, it was hard to find data. So I referenced other cities and tried to, some places put $300 in the Egan area, and I didn't think that would suffice for us. We're not even close to that, so.
And is that like an annual license then, or what?
Again, I have to do some more research. Again, I was doing more on the aspect of getting, and again, maybe Tanner would be able to help me out with this because,
And I believe that fee would just be for the temporary license. It is for a period of time and not annually.
Okay, but what is the period of time? Or is that something we haven't clarified?
It's in the ordinance, just give me a moment here.
I think when my son went to culinary school, and at the end of the year, a couple times a year, they'd have like a Christmas holiday thing, and or at the end of the year, and they'd invite in the public, and they'd serve wine. I don't know if what else they serve beside wine, but I know that culinary school had to get a permit to be able to sell wine or have wine with the meal at these events.
I also know, probably not so popular here, but since we did kind of pick up a state ordinance, culinary school events, there's a big team building thing where you go with your team from work and they have a chef there and he's like, all right, add the cumin now and this, and you're drinking as you're team building, and I could see it even focusing a lot towards.
Well, and that's what I was kind of curious about, and if someone was to pursue some type of an event or a particular business that did that, I'm just curious. I don't know if that's cost prohibitive, if it's for every event they do is $100, and so that's why I was asking.
It would be each event, because they're supposed to sell reservations for these types of events.
Right.
and they don't have to provide any additional cost to the participant, so I'm guessing that's kind of what the thought was, that,
It's gonna have to come, it's gonna be somewhere, right?
well, I mean, the participant would pay for the class, and that would
Right,
be,
but it's, again, still on the bottom line, let's be honest. Like, it doesn't just go nowhere. It's not how that works, so.
yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to maybe revisit that as well.
So, thoughts, do we move forward with the schedule for the fee and revisit the vendors?
We can like Jeff said, we're gonna revisit this anyhow during budgeting time, so I'm sure each department will cover this when they
You
bring their
know,
budgets.
have something in place for 2025? If we're gonna revisit the vendor or the.
I mean, I don't think it hurts to look at our fee schedules yearly. I mean,
Yep.
it was before a lot of us started here, the fee schedules were in place for like 40 years, so I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind passing this with the caveat that I'd like us to, again, still review the mobile food unit and then the culinary class as to what that actually means. I'm assuming that Ashley needs to have something to go off in the meantime, since we're doing the alcohol ordinance today, so, but I'd like us to really revisit that.
Okay. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Jody,
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Halt. Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.03 is a resolution regarding the authorization to submit a preliminary grant application to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development deed regarding the support for the Red River Valley Showgrounds redevelopment grant.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this?
Second.
Got Tim and Dawn, thank you. Discussion.
Mayor, members of council, I've distributed a packet that does address both this and 9.04 and 9.05. This is the submission. This, I just wanted to wrap up everything. This is to authorize us to submit the grant on from Carrie's department. In the submission of this grant, it's identified that there are multiple methodologies to move forward. The grant would be from deed for 1.65 million. There is a 50% match of another 1.65 million from the city. A good way or a recommended way to finance this is through a TIF financed bond issue. And I understand that the city has not done those in recent memory. They can get rather complex, but the simple breakdown is wherever the base value of the property is prior to redevelopment is the basis. And then after it gets redeveloped, any increased tax revenue that comes in, both city, county, and schools, comes to the TIF district to help to repay those bonds. The estimated revenue for the low with the one commitment that we have over the life of a 26-year TIF is 1.4 million. We would be looking at a bond of about 760,000 with a loan from the city, interfund from unrestricted revenue of approximately 700,000, which could then be repaid through the TIF. The worst case scenario, our lowest expectation again is 1.4 million. Best case scenario is about $100 shy of 3 million. That will not come to fruition because that anticipates concurrent development of all parcels immediately. Our best estimate is that we're going to be looking at TIF revenue over the 26-year life cycle of 2.2 million. The sum of the bond payments is 1.13 million, which the balance afterwards would be available to reimburse the city for the loan from unrestricted funds at the city. My recommendation would be to attach an interest rate on that approximately equal to our current interest rate on the CDs that we would be getting, that we are currently receiving, as the city would be giving up those dollars. It is a rather it's a very low risk project. We did receive a letter of commitment today from the primary development. It does tie up about 11 to 12% of our city's unrestricted, undesignated reserves. However, given that it does redevelop a brownfield property, and gives us some good economic development, and in the words of economic development, activity begets activity.
Yeah.
This unit goes into place, we will then find that redeveloping the adjacent properties will be much easier with affiliated businesses along that line. Staff recommendation is to move forward with the grant application. It does not obligate us to accept the grant, however, it is expected that we would accept the grant.
Thank you. Further discussion?
So with this, on top of the railroad spur and all that stuff, if all that comes to fruition, I mean, how are we looking down the road for doing stuff like that?
Carrie, what was the city match on the railroad spur?
It was, I believe, up to 3 point.
Carrie, you gotta come to the podium, please.
I believe it was it up to 3.3 million is what's in my mind, but that we would be applying for a BDPI grant from DEED, and we would see that we'd be moving forward on that. We submitted the $3.3 million grant to the EDA the week of July 1st, and then we will, upon understanding the award of that, if we get it, then we'll apply for another $2 million from the BDPI. And so that would leave us with about 1.1 or 1.4, I can't remember the exact numbers on that.
So in a perfect storm, in a worst case scenario, would the city be okay if everything happened then?
Based on those numbers, our unrestricted, undesignated funds would be approximately, and I'm gonna defer to Michelle if I misspeak, but I'm going to say somewhere in the 30 to 33% range of our unrestricted, undesignated reserves. That would leave us, and Michelle has the live numbers on her machine.
I'm gonna caution you with using the words unrestricted, undesignated. That's just what I wanted to do. That would also be a bond on that too. We were looking at bonding on that too, if you remember back on those finances, so that wouldn't come out of our general fund, was not the thought.
When we're making these decisions, I just want to make sure that, we don't overextend.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
sir. Yeah.
So my comment on the undesignated, unrestricted is, so the terminology. That 11 to 12-ish% is basically of your cash and investment balance in December. So when we're looking at, as of the most recent fiscal year that we really have wrapped up, we're sitting at a little over $6 million in cash and investments. A lot of that is in investments. The unrestricted, undesignated, is really a fund balance term, so that cash and investments may or may not be restricted depending on what fund it's in, and a portion of it might be tied to a restricted fund balance. So I just wanted to clarify that the cash itself in and of itself isn't necessarily not tied to a restricted or even a committed. Not that committed has to be used for areas that you've chosen to commit it to, but just kind of wanted to clarify that 11 to 12% is, again, as of December, total cash and investment balances that we're looking at with that most recent fiscal year closed. So just kind of wanted to caution against the terminology.
So again, like if all this stuff comes through, increase, it shouldn't have any effect on our operating expenses for the year. I mean, are we gonna have to increase the levy to afford any of these projects that are coming?
I guess it's hard, I mean, I just saw these numbers today, the 700,000, so I would not want to answer that tonight, cause yeah, I was just looking at this number, the interfund loan piece, because that's the main piece that, is really what we want to review and I want to say concern, but the thing we need to make sure we're comfortable with, because that is an upfronted piece that the city would be fronting and not necessarily getting repaid for several years. So, that number, like I said, I just saw that tonight a few hours ago, so before, I would need a little more time to answer your
Yeah,
question,
so I
to
mean,
kind of think about
I
that.
think what to answer back to our citizens is their first question to me is, well, how much is this gonna cause the levy to increase for 2025 and beyond? And I think we need to have, maybe some of those types of answers.
Yes, now, by passing this resolution to authorize us to apply, we are under no obligation to
I
take.
get it.
But I can, by the next meeting, we can have some more concrete numbers.
If we're taking it from our reserves, and maybe it shouldn't even have nothing to do with our expenses for 2025 and.
Yeah, sorry, and I understand because nobody expected 2020 to happen either, and that decimated a lot of cities. So caution is a watchword.
Delaney,
Yeah, go ahead.
Delaney, we can have the worst case and best case scenarios run again. Todd ran this half out of the general and then half out of with a bond. It can be run 100% with a bond, and we can get those numbers updated. I think Todd was just trying to give you a general recommendation.
No, I get it, and don't get me wrong, I want all these projects to go through. I just want to know.
The 700,000 is, for lack of better terms, it's like the pessimist view.
Yep.
At the 700,000 and the 1.4, that's the pessimist if our committed project goes in and nothing else happens over the term of the project.
I think the other thing to kind of just readdress, we had done it last year and supposedly we were waiting for the assessment of the streets and the roads and then the comprehensive plan, but it's getting our financial and municipal business plan. And I think that is so key to part of these conversations. And I think it's something that we really need to pursue with Ellers as soon as possible as we start to make these decisions. And I think that'll make it a lot easier for Carrie and for the city administrator to give us a better understanding of what we can do going forward.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Alt,
Aye.
Law,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.04 is a resolution regarding the support for the city of Crookston approving the Red River Valley Showgrounds redevelopment grant application.
Thank you, and do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
moved, Your Honor.
I have Delane.
Yep.
I'll second it. And Clayton, thank you. Discussion. Anything to add to this, Jeff?
No, sir, I did, as mentioned, I did combine the three.
Three, yep. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs, Cavalier,
Aye.
Alt,
Aye.
Lot,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.05 is a resolution regarding consenting to the process for the creation of a redevelopment tax increment financing district in support of the proposed redevelopment of the Red River Valley Winter Show properties.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve
make
this
that motion,
resolution?
Your Honor.
Motion by Don, is there a second?
A second.
Second by Henry, thank you. Discussion.
Your Honor, on this, just this simply consenting to the process of the creation obviously does not create a TIF district. Creating a TIF district is a more complicated legal and financial matter. This is just the support to move forward with the basis.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Alt,
Aye.
Plot,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.06 is a resolution regarding the purchase of a heating and cooling system at the Valley Tech Park building.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution? Thank you, Tim. Is there a second by Don? Thank you. Discussion?
Your Honor, we have received multiple quotes to replace the units. They are having, the units at the Valley Tech Park have exceeded their useful life. And again, we have multiple quotes, being staff recommendations to go ahead and move forward with replacing it. I believe the low quote was 28,000 and some and 700 and some change. 28,771.40.
Is this in capital improvements? No? This,
I think they transferred a couple things around.
There were some, prior to the previous administrator's departure, he had moved some items around.
So it's pulling out.
Yeah, building repairs and maintenance and other improvements, 10,000 from building repair and maintenance, 19,000 from other improvements.
Also, there was, they were gonna do a CIP to replace the roof, and that has been pushed to the next year as well, so that was the funding that they utilized as well. And then the building repair and maintenance was that, so just to.
That's enough to cover.
Yep.
all right, thank you. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Alt. Aye. Quad,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hivma.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on.
Item 9.07 is a resolution regarding 1519 Carroll Street variance for Otter Tail Power Company solar panel.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Henry. Discussion?
Your Honor, this matter was brought before Planning and Zoning. They did review. It was forward with unanimous vote. Recommendation for approval. Items were brought up regarding visibility to the roads and proximities. It's of which none came to fruition, and it is to move the variance or the setback to 5 feet along the building parallel to the roadway.
Further discussion? Philomere, this is on Ingersoll, the Water Tail, kind of their maintenance shop out there. So on the south side of their building, they're putting a row of solar panels. So, and I don't think.
That's across from Dental there?
No.
There's a map on the
Way
back.
out on the south end of town, right out by Titan Machinery and Egg Innovation Campus, and so.
Adjacent to the transfer station, I believe.
Yep, just, east of the transfer. There's enough buffer between the transfer station and Otter Tail. They got that big open lot that Otter Tail uses for storage of equipment and power poles or whatever they need, so I think it's a good thing, so.
Is this something that will be rotating with the sun, or?
Nope, it's fixed.
Fixed?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
And there was no concerns based on this, correct, from anybody in the area?
There was one from transfer station about reflection with the trucks, but they said they can adjust the panels. They have these in a couple other communities and they have no issues there with, so. They can adjust the panels if there's an issue, so. That was the only concern from transfer station was reflection off these into higher profile vehicles, basically.
Okay. Right, just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Alt. Aye. Claude,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hivma.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.08 is a resolution regarding the tobacco store conditional use permit located at 1504 University Avenue.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Make the motion.
Thank you, Henry. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Delane. Discussion.
Your Honor, this was heard before Planning and Zoning for a tobacco store conditional use permit located at 1504 University Avenue. This item, our code has specified permitted uses and is exclusionary in nature. The specific use asked for is not among those listed, but it is consistent with other uses that are permitted within the code. The Planning and Zoning Commission heard and has forwarded to the council with a unanimous recommendation for approval. I do not recall there being any voices of concern at the hearing.
Thank you.
There were some written comments regarding parking and all, but the owner was present telephonically and has identified that he understands and will comply with.
So most of the patrons are only there 5-10 minutes, so it didn't seem to be parking would be an issue.
Correct.
And he said if needed, the side where the drive-through window was, which they don't intend to use, they could open that for parking if it becomes an issue.
Yes.
I guess my concern is having a smoke shop as the entrance to Crookston.
I feel like I've heard that as well.
Like, I just know that is a concern that I've had. I've heard from people, just the connotation and the look that it gives as that's the entrance, from a lot of people as you enter into Crookston, and I guess I don't feel comfortable with that.
I just look at it as a business moving to town. And our community has struggled to get new businesses town. Now granted, it's a smoke shop. I asked during the meeting if he intends to have cannabis, and he said he doesn't have any intention at this time. So plus that falls under the state guidelines anyhow if anybody wants to do that. So I don't know, it's recommended by our planning commission, and I look at it as a new business coming to town. And
Yeah, I guess I have two thoughts on that. One, when we say like it's the entrance of our town, how? Because like you have the university and then you have like a whole strip mall full of other businesses. And then you have a car lot, you have a DQ, and then you have that. And I guess the other part to that I would be is like, what's the difference between that and the alcohol beverage store right next to it? If we're trying to make the argument that it's somehow the entrance of our town, is that better or worse than what we currently have in that particular area? And I understand the concern, and obviously, as a mom and thinking about my kids and things like that, it's not something necessarily I want really available to them, but again, there's also regulations for that. And they can get the same tobacco right across the street at the gas station, right? So
the thing I think we should have a conversation with, and I was looking through the fee schedule, and the cigarette and tobacco sales, that's only $200 a year. And then like for alcohol license is like in the 2000s. So maybe we can look at that and have a conversation about the fee schedule between the two.
And maybe I would like to see maybe even like some comparative studies of other towns similar to us in that, just because obviously I don't think tobacco is as big of a seller as alcohol is. But something, if we haven't updated it most recently, and I don't know what it was prior, is it time for us to review that? Absolutely something to consider as well.
I have the documentation. I did a request to all of the Region 1 city clerks for that information, and I will send it your way, so.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hima.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.09 is a resolution regarding amending the automated weather observing system, AWAS, relocated replacement project at the Crookston Airport.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution? Do I have a motion by Don, second by Wendy. Thank you. Discussion?
Your Honor, this is an adjustment to the grant from the state. Originally, it was not, it was a match grant. The state has found, MnDOT has found additional funding, and this is an amendment to the grant to adjust it to 100%. The state will cover 100% of the cost for the AWAS at the airport.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
I can't beat that.
Just a note, can we correct the spelling on the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth whereas, the city of Crookston should read the city of Crookston.
Oh.
Fair.
Will do. Yes, sir.
Hey.
All right, further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Alt. Aye. Lot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Kidla.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, brings us to reports. Jeff?
Well, it's been a very eventful 2 weeks. I've met with all of the department heads. I've met with several community leaders. Yesterday, Crookston was a very fun event. Made some great contacts there. This afternoon, the mayor and I met at the University of Minnesota, UMC, Minnesota Crookston, with the chancellor and staff to discuss ways that the city can coordinate. But for the most part, I've been just putting together papers and getting my feet ankle deep and knee deep and hip deep in getting accustomed to the current processes and looking at staff. So we are moving forward. It is a process, but I think it's been a good 2 weeks. It was invaluable to have the outgoing administrator here for the time that he was for transition in this line of work. That is quite unheard of.
Thank you. Shane, anything tonight? Thank you. Brandon not here? No. Greg, anything? Thank you. Jake?
Thank you. Just a couple things. This past weekend, we finished up some travel baseball. We had a tournament in town. We played over at Rayka Complex on Field 6. Brought in 5 teams, and it was hot, but it was a fun event. It was good to see a lot of people there. A lot of kids, a lot of teams use the splash pad because in between games, so it was fun. We finished up yesterday afternoon, and Stephen Argyle ended up winning it, but it was good. It was fun. Tomorrow on recreation, we have a 10U girls fast pitch tournament, just a one-day tournament. 8 teams will be here. We start at 9 o'clock, and we're going to be using the loft fields there, north of Highland Complex, or Highland School. Campground, we are planning on opening up Friday this week. We do have some work to do on our end. You know, we had some fire pits, and we're gonna put up posts with like campsite numbers and just things like that. You know, we're gonna tidy up all the weed whipping and mowing. If you guys have been down there, it's looking like a really nice campground. I just can't wait for the grass to come in now, you know, so it'll look really, really good when the grass comes through. Just a couple things to finish up on the bathhouse. I found out today, that will be taken care of Wednesday this week. So we should be ready to go Friday. I believe Keenan's gonna be putting out a notice on that, or already has, so, thank you. Other than that, the projects are keeping going. Like, we have a Karn project that we're still doing, and then we'll be doing some other projects, once our adult softball league gets done here, so.
Can I ask Jake, on the Wildwood, I know you'd mentioned something about those bathrooms, about like a door or something that we didn't have the budget for.
Yeah, so what happened, to go back, when we talked to me about this before, we did put a new toilet in.
Okay.
And then recently, they kicked the door in and broke the lock, so, we did put a hasp on it with a master lock on it. But I will be looking at budgeting in 25 for some new upkeep to that facility, cause it needs some TLC down there for sure, so.
But as far as like being able to make it usable for right now, you
Yes,
still are.
we are doing what we can,
I
yep,
just- So the girls' bathroom is now usable?
Yes.
They just need to unlock it?
yep.
Great, wonderful, thank you.
Hey Jake, so let's say a community member is walking their dogs in Central Park and they have to use the restroom. How do they access the restroom?
Right now, what I'm doing is we're looking at giving keys to everyone that comes in to camp there, so they have their own key. But I was thinking about that over the weekend. I don't have a plan right now for that, Tim.
So maybe consider having a porta potty in the park
Okay,
that would be adjacent to
Right.
or, accessible.
right. I do know we will have our rangers there till 10 PM.
So I was gonna say, if you have
Yep.
rangers there. we
So
can
my
have them
thought
until
process, and I haven't spoken with Scott, he's out on vacation this week, but one of my thoughts was to potentially just have it open till 10 o'clock and then they can lock up when they leave. Because typically, if we're gonna have sewer and water now, everyone can, majority of the people I think will hook up to the sewer. They're just gonna use that for shower, so, but yeah, I think
then. The tent camping,
till 10 o'clock, yeah, I mean,
what do they do after 10 o'clock?
I know,
think-
it's a hard.
I mean, I guess my initial suggestion, just off the top of my head, is have the rangers open it when they get there, have them close it when they leave, but then have keys for those individuals.
That don't, yeah, they're
Yes,
staying
that
there,
are
yep. Yep, we can do
accessible
that.
or something,
Yeah, so,
And then also, if you had thought about having somebody that you just had, like, similar to what they have at the state park across the way, where you have like you give discounted or free lodging to one RV for the whole time, and then they're the contact person after 10 p.m.
like an RV host or
Yeah,
campsite
like a
host.
camp host.
I have looked into that.
So I think that might be another consideration for addressing that.
The plan right now is just to run the campground, get it open, run it like we have, and then get through the rest of this season, and then this winter, really dig into looking online and other ways to,
Yeah.
market and advertise our campground like that.
Sure.
But we just wanna, get it open for the season. I already have some people coming in for, with the Express company out of Grand Forks, the beet farmers and
Yeah.
things like that. So
Yep.
they're already kind of starting to book up,
Nice.
so, but, yeah.
So, follow-up questions. So in the event of high water, how are those hookups protected?
They're not.
I thought they buried them, or they had some.
They're at a lower level than the river. But typically, I know like what we did this winter is our staff and then the city or, the street crew, we did build big piles of snow up along the riverbank to help with that situation. But otherwise, they're not covered.
I thought they were supposed to be able to be taken out and then like had a cover on them. Was that?
I'll look into it,
I've
but,
had several comments from
Yep.
the community, and the other comment to address is the issue of the mud on the boat ramp going down into the river.
yep, we have a plan to clean that out this week, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Jake,
Sorry.
what did you find out of the tennis courts that I brought up last meeting?
I don't remember what you brought up last meeting, I apologize.
The overhang of the trees and the lights not working properly, and
I didn't find out anything yet. I
have
will.
looked into it?
Yeah, I will. I'll put it down.
Okay.
Yep. My apologies.
Then I noticed on the internet, somebody was asking about staying longer than 7 days.
We're gonna keep it at a 7-day max right now, and then I'll look into extensions this winter. Just want to keep everything the same and get it open right now.
Well, yeah, it's like that's.
Except for the beach season, I apologize. We
Okay,
always
you're
give them
making
an exception
an
for the
exception.
express.
Okay.
Yep, we always make an exception.
And Jake, just on that note, like, if we're not filling up, why would we make a max?
That's a good question.
I would think that we'd want as much money for as long as anybody's willing to stay here at this
Right.
point, right?
Right, and now that we have a new campground, more campsites, it's
Yeah.
probably looking better to do that.
And maybe we can reassess that in the winter, but I would say anybody who wants to stay any length of time that's within our open times that we just let them.
Okay.
Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, unless something happens where we're always booked up,
Turning
you know.
away, yeah.
Right,
Yep.
right. Okay,
So they also, we have tent sites, right?
I'm sorry.
Tent
We
sites.
have an open, yeah, we have open grass right now, but Scott and I are looking, we looked into this a few times of possibly putting some kind of along the riverbank on the east side of the, so there's trees and just more of a natural look to a tent. I think we could probably fit around 5 or 6 nice tent sites actually along the dike and the riverbank there.
I would also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So would those be available to a camper? Or that would be run on their own?
I haven't thought, I mean, we could, but
Like a primitive site.
Yeah.
They're usually,
That's
they're not
what they're
like,
called.
they're called primitive, not tent sites.
there's no hookups, there's no nothing, there's just,
And generally, they're not accessible by road a lot of times, the
Right.
primitive sites. But generally, what they do offer is some type of like a grill, like a permanent grill, and then like a table or something like per primitive site. So just
Okay.
as an FYI.
okay.
I had worked with Polk County Park for 4 years. And the 10 sites, there was a number of them, I think there was 8 or 9, that sat empty. And people would come in just for the night. We started renting it out, and that summer that we did it, the first summer, it increased the income noticeable by the Polk County Board.
Okay.
So it's something that should be considered.
Yep.
Figuring out something or another that, putting something in there, I'm not talking the big huge motorhomes.
No, but like a little pop-up camper or something like that, yep, like a trailer, yep, okay.
Just you think that as an option to help bring in revenue.
Yeah, for sure. And then Delane, I will personally go look at the tennis courts
I'm sending
tomorrow.
you a reminder just in case
Okay.
you forget for next time.
I apologize for that, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jake. Carrie, anything?
I too attended the luncheon over at the university today. It was really fun. They really are working to engage their students to stay within the community and their staff to stay within the community. And the big question was, how do they introduce their staff, their students to the city of Crookston to engage them? And I think that Michelle and Jess Bankston, they have been pretty active in that. So we had a lot of really good feedback on that. It was a good group of people. They're going to be reinstating, I guess, what they called the 4 Cs. I don't know what that means, but it seemed like it was a very effective group, and you guys are putting C4. There we go.
Do you know what they are, Michelle?
Crookston Campus Community Connection. So we were invited to that, so that will be kind of kicking back off again for those of you who used to know what it is, but for those of us who heard about it for the first time, I think it was really interesting, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. The other thing, we did hear back from the MPCA. They heard back from the federal government that we did not get. The state of Minnesota was not allocated the weatherization grant. They allocated clean agricultural, clean foods, that type of a thing. So we were shot down on that, but we are moving forward with the Small Cities Development Grant. That was submitted 2 weeks ago, I believe, with John Wynn was our grant writer. He submitted that. So that process is in the works, and that's moving along. And I think that's about it for me. Oh, hey, can you guys really consider waking up and joining us at Jolt and Jive on 8 o'clock on Thursday mornings at the Cove? That's one of those places that we hear a lot of great things, and then we also hear different concerns from the community. There's been some of the things mentioned throughout the evening we've heard, talked about by the community, and we really want to just engage that, and that's where we're also looking at trails, extending trails. We had the meeting at the Cove that one evening. There was a lot of, what do you want to do in the winter, what do you want to do in the summer, and a lot of that came to defining trails, expanding trails. So we're trying to locate money for that. The whole thing about the Emerging Small Minnesota Communities Grant is to find the money to go with the project. So we're excited about that, and we're starting to narrow some of that down, so.
Carrie, I just want to, because I was at the Minnesota Cities with you annual conference, that we did get a grant though for cabinets, I believe.
Oh, I guess I didn't talk about it because housing is a separate entity really from the city, but we were awarded a POP grant, Public Housing something, PHOP. And we were awarded a grant for right around $600,000. So at Oak Courts, at our 60-unit place, we'll be replacing all the cabinets. We'll be replacing mini splits into each of the apartment units, putting in new sidewalks, putting in a new handicap door accessible, and then also a really nice state-of-the-art monitoring system, which is really going to be beneficial to both our staff, but especially to PD. And so, yeah, those are going to be projects. We're going to be really busy this summer working on getting each one of those projects put into place. So thanks for reminding me of that. So
I've sat in on some of the constituent meetings down there, and one of the biggest concerns, and I'm sure Tim could also speak to this, is the security aspect of it, and for the residents to feel safe. And I think having that security system is really going to be a big boost for
that was the driving force, Christy, was to making the residents feel safe. Then it stays peaceful, right? Because there's a certain amount of at-risk clientele within Oak Court, and so keeping them to where they feel safe and where they know all that we have to do is say there was somebody in a green shirt on this day, and we can locate it. We can follow that person throughout the entire building. We can get that over to the PD should it be needed, and it makes their families feel safer as well. So I'm pretty excited about that particular portion of it. Yeah. So that's what I have going. Jolt and Jive, 8:00 a.m. Thursday mornings at the Cove. Be there. Everybody is welcome in the community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Darren, anything?
Thank you. I just want to remind everybody, National Night Out is right around the corner. It's always the first Tuesday in August, so that this year it's August 6th, starting at 4:30 to 7:30 on the beautiful UMC campus. I'm sure many of you have been there. This is our largest outreach program with usually several thousand in attendance. Again, this year it's going to be jam-packed with many activities, and we'll be giving away prizes every 15 minutes, several of those being bike packages. So I invite the mayor and council and city administrator to attend. We'll have some tables and a canopy set up for you there again this year. So yeah, looking forward to that. We have another meeting tomorrow and getting close to the finish line. And again, thanks Michelle, she's a big part of that with us on the planning committee with UMC. Police department, we're also looking at Oxcart now. We have a meeting tomorrow with Oxcart committee, again to kind of just freshen up our role on that each year and how we can help with that. Follow-up from last council meeting. Thanks to Keenan for all his help. We published that animal control survey today. Thanks to CaroX, they posted a story on that today. So encourage residents to take that survey. You can grab the link on CaroX or go to our City of Crookston website page. It's under the city announcements section. So yeah, we look forward to those results over the next couple weeks.
Darren, what is Oxcart again?
Oxcart is the third weekend in August.
Okay.
It starts on Wednesday and runs through Sunday. And that's always the third weekend, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Kian, anything, report?
Hi, everyone. Just want to start by giving a shout out to the folks at DCDP, Downtown Crookston Development Partnership, for their work that they did for Fiesta Day Crookston. Just want to give a shout out to Shirley and the organizer Melissa over there. They did a really fantastic job with organizing the event, and we had a fantastic turnout over there, and they're planning on bringing it back again next year. So just want to thank them for all the work that they did on that. Had a meeting last week with James and I believe it's Dan, I apologize if I said your name wrong, for Oxcart Days, just reviewing, with my first year being with the city of Crookston, just, reviewing everything as far as the permits for all of the vendors, as well as the full list of events that are gonna be going on. And I anticipate not being in the office very much the week of Oxcart Days, because I'll be out and about doing plenty of photography and video for that, but really looking forward to that. Had a meeting with the full Parks and Rec staff to talk about different promotional items that can be implemented for the sports center coming up this winter, specifically with ice rentals. So we're going to be starting to evaluate that within the next couple weeks. It's been brought up a couple of times, but earlier today we attended the roundtable discussion at UMC, and won't recap much more of that, but just really looking forward to the collaborative process on that. And I believe we're scheduling a follow-up meeting in a couple of weeks here, so looking forward to continuing the conversation over there. And then last thing is we have our two concurrent surveys that are going on right now. So the trash collection survey, that's going to be wrapping up here at the end of this week. We still have a representative of, is it Parks or Public Works? I can't remember off the top of my head, but we have a representative at the transfer station. Their last day out there is going to be August 1st, and then we're going to have a full sit-down discussion, Chuck and I, to review all the results. We had a preliminary? Yep, that's it. Look through of the results, but we'll have a full breakdown meeting to be able to look at all the results there. We've had over 500 individual results for that, so it's a really great data we're getting over there. And then, as mentioned earlier, we just had the survey come out with the police department here for animal control, so we're going to be evaluating that over the next couple weeks. And that's all I got.
Can that 500, is that unique users?
That will be unique users, yep.
Okay, great.
If I remember correctly, this is paraphrasing, but I believe it's about 460 online and roughly about 45 physical copies.
Perfect,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chuck, anything to report?
No report.
Thank you. Michelle, anything, updates tonight?
Hello. I'll just give you a couple quick updates. I know 2 weeks ago, at our last meeting, it was, kind of the auditors were coming that week. They came a couple days, and I know we're trying to schedule time when they can come back. Unfortunately, they weren't able to. They only had 2 days out here. They did not finish the audit. So we're getting a little bit anxious to get them to solidify a plan to the days they will come back out, as we've been, we've sent them about 95% of everything for the audit, and we're working on drafting the financials, so we don't at least have to wait for the auditors. Typically do that, but so at least we're not kind of holding that process up. So we are trying to pinpoint the next couple of weeks, some days that they can come out to actually finish the audit, as we would obviously like that wrapped up as soon as possible. Maybe one thing I will just kind of point out, since it came up when we were talking about the potential, TIF bonds and the funding, so maybe something to just consider in the future too, that whenever you're looking at potentially having either matching funds in the form of a loan or receivable, and you have long-term receivables in your general fund, that will impact your fund balance policy, because those long-term receivables are now not in your unassigned fund balance. So this is a general concept that, because I was thinking about it, wanted to just bring up as a discussion whenever you have these items come up. If you are going to use cash in your general fund to create long-term receivables, those have to be reported as non-spendable fund balance. It is not liquid, of course, you can't liquidate it. So just another consideration, anytime you have these types of things, if you're planning to front some cash in the form of a long-term note or loan receivable, that will impact your fund balance. So just wanted to bring that up while it was top of mind, and maybe if these come up in the future, especially if I'm not necessarily here to comment on it. So another consideration when you're looking at that is we want to make sure that we still have an unassigned fund balance policy that we need to keep in mind. So that is just another update that came to my mind. Otherwise, Jeff and I have certainly been chatting over the last couple weeks as he's come in. I know we are gonna have some plans to maybe more formally just kind of look out ahead at what the overall finance kind of plan and department could look like, especially as we get the audit wrapped up. So I know we'll continue those conversations as well, and have some potential game plans or scenarios going forward. And with that, continue, of course, to try and get the audit wrapped up as soon as possible, get things caught up, and also working kind of simultaneously on some policies and procedures, especially policies. I know I had sent over a revised credit card policy for city administrators last week, I guess, Jeff and Corky, now Jeff, to review, as well as the other accounting department members, and we'll get those to department heads, I believe, tomorrow. So we're still working on Tuesday's policies. So next meeting, you'll probably see that and probably the purchasing policy come your way to then also take a look at and make sure that it's updated and approve an updated version of those. So a couple more policies coming down the chute as we continue to review and revise those to make sure they're updated for not only current practice, I know the credit card one was probably 20 years old, but also the purchasing one with state and federal guidelines, compliance requirements, terminology, things like that. So a couple more things that will be coming that you will see as well. So I believe that.
Michelle, can I ask a question? Have you looked at our reimbursement policy for travel and food and things like that?
So I have not. That is not one that I have gone through yet as far as reimbursements. I know typically those purchases are on the city credit cards. There isn't a lot of reimbursements that happen.
I think it just depends on, who it is, but I just, I know that we had pushed something through, and I'd like to really revisit that as well. I think standard guidelines for most like nonprofits and things like that is to use the GSA in order to consider like what the spending balances would be for like lunches and lodging and things, and we have not put that into place. We've chosen $1 amount, and I think that's pretty cost prohibitive, and to be honest with you, I think can affect city employees negatively if they're going somewhere that the hotel costs or the food costs are significantly more in those areas. So something to consider as well.
Yeah, that is one policy I've not gone through yet. So, but yeah, absolutely, we'll make sure to take a look at that soon.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or anything I mentioned? Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
I know I can never too many letters. Steven, from engineer, you got anything to report on us or updates tonight, or everything good?
No real new update, just kind of working with Chuck and know things with the city and working through some kind of smaller projects, so.
Great, thank you. Ashley.
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to remind everyone that the notice of filing is starting July 30th and will go until August 13th. So it's between the hours of 8 and 4:30 through July 30th through August 12th. And then on the 13th, we will be open until 5 o'clock for the candidacy of filing. Again, those wanting to apply the filing fee is $2, and it's for wards 1, 3, 5, and at large, and again, those are all 4-year terms. They can come to the city hall and they can ask for me or any individual at city hall, and I'll know over the candidacy filing, so.
Thank you.
Also, I wanted to remind everybody, again, I'll remind you at the council meeting on the 12th, but then also the primary election is on the 13th of August as well, so remember to go out and vote for that, so.
Thank you. Clayton.
I sit on the Solar Lake Board, there was a lot of electrical work, they shut down for a couple of days. And they're doing some painting, downspout, and gutter work on that, the other one, so they're getting straightened up and up to code on several things. That's all I have here.
Thank you. Henry.
Just wanna welcome Jeff and Wendy, first meeting here, so just wanna say welcome in, otherwise I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Christie?
I would say the same thing, welcome, very excited to have you guys both on. I just wanted to mention, the DCDP didn't have any meeting this month just because of all the other amazing things they've been doing. So once again, just want to recognize the hard work of Shirley Iverson and of Melissa. They just did an amazing job with the Fiesta Crookston, and I think that also really kind of highlights, that we are a multicultural city, in that we need to be able to be supportive of everybody that's in our community, and I love seeing the turnout there. Volleyball courts at Ray Eklund look amazing. It was really fun to watch all those groups out there recently, so good job for that, Parks and Rec. I also had the opportunity to have dinner with the Chancellor, and I'm really happy to hear that some of our city leadership is going out to the university, and I think that we don't maybe as a council or city realize what an impact the university has on this town. I think that At least 2 people on this council are here because of the university and the opportunities that it provided us, and we chose to stay on. And I think it's really important for us to continue to nurture that relationship with the university, not just because of that, but I think, you know, being a land grant institution is a really important part for us, and the extension services that are provided by the institution, as well as the other wonderful events and cultural things that are available through them, really bring an additional piece to our community. So I hope that we continue on with a more positive relationship with the university. What else do I have? Yeah, I think that's it. I would like to also just maybe revisit once we've had some time, and hopefully, Jeff, you can get us on the docket for some type of like a working meeting as to, now that we have a new group of council, as to like where we want to go and what we want to pursue. But I'd also like to implement some of the things that we have I've brought back from League of Minnesota Cities. Also something to just be conscious of, and something I mentioned to IT, is that there is now a mandate for accessibility for our municipal websites. And so I think that's something that we also need to keep in the front of our minds in the next year, in making those more accessible. Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you. Morgan.
As everyone else, welcome. We're very happy to have you. And I was just asked to pass on to you, Jake. I was talking to a mom whose son was playing in one of the traveling teams here, and she was just very impressed with our fields and the whole thing. And just wanted to let everyone know that it was great.
Thank you. Thank you. Morgan. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I too want to congratulate the team that put the Fiesta de Crookston together. It was a wonderful, wonderful gathering of really delightful people. Good food, good music, lots of fun for kids. Really look forward to the future events. I want to welcome you guys to the sandbox. It'll be fun having you play with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Delane.
Yep, just welcome Jeff and Wendy. Glad you guys are both here with us. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Wendy, anything to add?
Thanks for welcoming me. I also went to the Fiesta de Crookston, and it was super fun. My kids had a blast. I had a blast. So glad it was there. And Melissa, she is amazing. Person in our community. She killed it for sure. So.
Thank you. Don?
Welcome, Wendy and Jeff. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I also attended Fiesta Crookston. It was great. A lot of people, not much to stand in line, so I didn't have a chance to taste any authentic food because I hate standing in line.
And those margaritas are good.
Had a couple friends that were close to the line, and they said, "You're on your own." I couldn't even give them cash to get me anything, so I was kind of behind the 8 ball right away. Roundtable discussion too, I also attend. I think there's about 15 of us. I'm gonna cheat here, but we had a couple goals sent out by Mr. Windjam. So anyway, it says, inform students, faculty, staff about Crookston. Great to have them live here. Great to have them start businesses here. Better partnership and close connections between city, school, county, region. Maybe some immediate actionable items such as inventory for incoming students, faculty, and staff, ideas short-term and long-term. One thing that stood out for me out there, and I think it'd be a great idea, is when the students come back to register or whatever, to get their rooms.
Orientation.
Yeah, the welcoming area, if, I'm all game for it. I'd go out there and spend an hour or two, just say, hey, I'm so-and-so, welcome to Crookston. Maybe some council members would like to take an hour or 2 hour shift too, to kind of spread it out through the day and just say, hey, we're a welcoming community. Great that you're here. Something to think about. The chancellor also mentioned maybe down the road, they would like to see us host another council meeting out there. We did it many years ago. I think Mr. Wilhite was the mayor at the time. So if you guys are game, we could try to schedule that sometime, maybe, you know, before they go on break or after the first of the year or whenever, so. Also, welcome Wendy. Great to have you aboard. I know who to go to if I got complaints, cause she's in my ward. Also, welcome Jeff. Just a reminder, there will be no Ways and Means meeting tonight. Thank you for everyone attending. We are adjourned.